Hi, everyone. Welcome to Witchcraft Teaching the Core Class Week 10. And let me grab my glasses here. So, Crow's Nest Coordinator. So, first, we have a list of topics for today. And the topic is walking your own path, having your own voice, and Samhain. So, I wanted to start with introductions since I am new. A return, but new since this has been going on. So hi, Sophia, can you hear us now?
Yes, thank you very much.
Great. So I was just saying that Harold will not be joining us tonight because he is working on moving location, and I'm not sure if Whitney is going to make it. I'm waiting. Here she is right now. Hi, Whitney.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
You too. You too.
So I was going over the what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is walking your own path, having your own voice, and Samhain. But I wanted to start with introductions because I am new to everyone in the group since it has started with this class. So I am Monica Munistira, and Harold and I came up with this concept of the core teachings when we spent 15 months together in our partnership with music and the Lone Wolf Show and personal endeavors. When we had split our ways and wanted to remain friends, there was outside forces that kept us from doing that. So now those are no longer an issue. And so I've been invited back to come to join. Okay. So I'm a little rusty getting to know these controls again. It's been a little bit. So if you can introduce yourselves and let me know if you have any questions.
Well, I'm Whitney. Of course, we've met. I met Monica when I met Harold. That's been, a year and a half ago at a Beltane event. Monica and Harold, and I'm excited for you to be back. So welcome.
Thank you. Now, your mic did cut out for me for a little bit. I don't know if that was an issue on my end or if anyone else had an issue with hearing your full information.
Yes, it cut out for me as well.
Oh, okay. No, I said I had the pleasure of meeting Monica and Harold at a Beltane event that we did about a year and a half ago here in North Carolina. So I'm excited that you're back.
Yes, and we did have the pleasure of going on your show a few times, and you came on our show, so we got to know you more doing those collaborations. So I'm excited to see all the things that you do now and to have you here with us. Your information and your knowledge is very great, and so I appreciate you being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been an experience. So since we've talked back in May, so I guess a year from when we originally met, I actually opened a metaphysical shop in Winston-Salem. So my soon-to-be husband and I opened a tattoo and metaphysical shop. So he does the tattoos and I do the woo.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's a great collaboration. Oh my goodness. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
So, Braun the Blessed, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Braun the Blessed. I've been in paganism for over 50 years. And first got in touch with the pagan community here in Nashville. Of course, I had a few contacts, but I got in touch with the broader pagan community through the Green Egg magazine, and I'm now the editor of the Green Egg magazine. So I've come a ways there.
Oh, wow.
And I'm also a nest coordinator for the only cyber nest that we have in the Church of All Worlds. And that cyber nest is for people like me. I'm wheelchair bound, can't drive anymore. The only way I have of getting with a group at all is by internet. So I can't exactly go out. I can't have someone come by and pick me up with my wheelchair and take me here or take me there for a coven or circle meeting of any kind. I have to do the best I can. And the crow's nest is for people like that, and for people who are in cities or communities where they don't have any contacts with like-minded pagans. And it's an opportunity for people who can't get with a physical circle of pagans to get with a non-physical circle of pagans. And we do the best we can. All we do is get together and chat. But I think that must be quite valuable, because we've tried to bring up doing some kind of ritual over our internet connection, and people are not really that interested in that. They'd rather talk. They'd rather chat, because, most of us are out of contact with people, I guess. And it's just a more needed service. I've been involved in, Lord gosh, I don't know how many different types of groups. The term a jack of all trades and a king of none certainly applies, but I've been involved with Oak, Ash, and Thorn Wicca, Northwind Wicca, and Andre Oak Fane Druid Circle. That was a startup, and I'm in contact now. I'm kind of sitting in with some heathens, and I love all manner of pagan groups, and I want to encourage us to always come together and maintain our community. It's important to us all. So I'm sitting in on this circle to kind of brush up on my basics in Wicca, which I never went beyond the basics anyhow.
Honey, hey, I was just checking, make sure everything's okay.
All right, everything is.
Right.
And I'm in rehab right now, which is why you see a nurse peeking in on me every once in a while. Hope to get out soon, but for the moment, I'm still here trying to heal up my foot. That's about it. Was that about half an hour?
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I didn't go into my background much, so I'll give a little more information on that. I grew up, my family was immigrants. My great grandparents came here from Finland, and my great grandfather on my father's side, his father's side, was an immigrant from Scotland when he was 2. And so, and then another side of the family came over a long time ago, when America was discovered. So when my family that immigrated recently came over. They went to a place of the United States over in the Pacific Northwest that nobody wanted to go to. And a lot of the immigrants from the same area all ended up there. So I grew up learning the old ways, not necessarily Wicca, but before Wicca, the old ways. But I was raised not having a name for it, because back then we weren't supposed to talk about what we practiced or what we did. So it was just taught to us, and we were never told what it was. And then when I started searching for others like me in 2000, then I did run into Wicca and Wicca teachings, and I did read some books and belong to a coven and an online community. So I did do a little bit of study. In my partnership with Harold, he was the Wicca expert with all his book reading and studies that he had time to do. So my experience is more from the connection that you get with spirit or gods or whatever your higher power or deities or entities or spirits you deal with in your practice. So that's a little bit more on that part. I'm so glad that there is this magic nowadays with the internet and communication. In my experience, when I connect with people over this platform where it's live, I can feel the connections. When I do magic with other people in this type of setting, I believe it does have power also. So I'm thankful for the magic we have today with the technology, that this can be available to people that have limited mobility. So I'm thankful that you're here and that you do the work that you do. And I just love the green egg. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and I think it started over there in the Seattle area, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it started in St. Louis early on as the Church of All Worlds was starting back in, I believe, the late 60s. And it was printed in St. Louis, a little, I guess it was a folded over what's a legal size? 8.5 by 14?
I believe so.
I think it was a folded over legal size paper that they first published it in. Then Tim, who is now Oberonzel, and some of the other people from St. Louis moved up to Northern California, which is where you're talking about, when that's where it got restarted again after they moved. And it started and went for some time there, became a very well-known magazine, I guess. But that was its second start, and now it's at a third and fourth start. But we're keeping it going.
Very nice. Sophia, you want to tell us about where you're from?
Hello, everyone. I'm from central London in England, in Europe. I turned 57 this summer. February 2020, I had a accident whilst shopping and carrying shopping along the high street, and it means that I've got a dynamic disability. So some days I can stand and walk, some days I just can't, because of the damage to my right hip and leg. But because of that, I'm very blessed. I'm very, very grateful. Not blessed, I'm grateful, because due to that, they after the first wave of the pandemic, they started investigating all my other problems that I knew I had, but hadn't looked at for, years. And so I've had lots of diagnoses, lots of help, lots of you're going to have to live with it. So my partner and I helped out online, and he went off and delivered food during the pandemic. And so when we came out of that, I wanted to find my spirituality, to explore. And when I did some, because I was on Facebook because of my hip condition, because that's the only support group there was, which is American based, I started searching, and I first of all came across the old ways, the folklore, witchcraft, and I saved and bought lots of books, which I haven't quite got around to reading a lot of them. They're still in boxes. And because I was searching, I found Witchcraft Teachings, the core. And because of that, I found Harold. And I found lots of answers there, lots of information. And that's where I first came across Brown the Blessed. And I introduced Harold to my online friend, Denton Walker from Dublin, who loves his old Norse stuff. So yes, I've been studying and searching since autumn of last year. So I'm probably at my 12-month anniversary. And I just think this is wonderful that we get to chat with different people and learn about their path, and learn about the core of things. It's just wonderful.
Well, welcome. And I do know Denton, and I wasn't aware that that's how we made our acquaintance, was through you. So thank you so much. He is wonderful, and I speak with him often.
Yes, he's a treasure trove.
Yes, most definitely. So the topics for today, walking your own path was the first topic that Harold shared with me that we were going to discuss. In looking up information for this, I did a quick little search with research, and the first thing that popped up was be a lone wolf and walk your own path. And so the universe is quite amazing with the little information that it gives us, and coincidences and things that pop up to let us know that we're back on the right path. So that was cool. And this was a little thing by Eric Reed, who I found to be a medium. Oh, and give me just a second, because instead of writing down so many notes, I wanted to share a little bit of what he said, which was really good, I thought. So if there's any advice I would universally give to every person, regardless of who they are, it is this: walk your own path. So don't walk someone else's path. Don't walk the path your parents predestined for you just because you feel emotionally indebted to them. Don't walk a path that appears to be yours, but is actually society's fabricated ideal of who you should be. Don't walk a path just because you fell into it and it's good enough. And don't walk a path that you feel a sense of enslaved duty towards because it's what you need to be according to a dominant a person or structure. So walk your own path. That means choosing your own path is in a very conscious way. And so that brought many instances to me where, I didn't walk my own path for so long because I felt I needed to fit into what society said. So I put my spirituality and finding that within myself on hold for a long time, probably 15 years after I turned an adult. And I was really held back and did what I was supposed to do. I found the husband and got married, had the kids, was a stay-at-home mom, and I thought I was doing what I was put here to do. And then going through difficult times and sitting with the trees, they're like, no, you're miserable because you're not supposed, this is not what you're here to do. And then started sending me pictures of what I'm supposed to do. And so breaking free from that, and there, what jobs that we have, a lot of times our employment puts confines of walking our own path and doing our own things, so there's many situations in our lives that we have those confinements of where we feel we can't walk our own path, and what blessings we have when we do break free and walk the path that we know is true for ourselves. So my question is to you, how have you in the past not walked your own path, and how did you get free from that and get back on the right track, and whatever you want to share on the subject?
Happy to go unless somebody else would like to.
Please.
Okay. I would have to agree with you, Monica. I did about the same thing. So I was raised Southern Baptist, and I went to a Catholic school. And, the path was laid out for me of, you graduate high school and you go to college, you get married, and you get, the job and the family and the house and the stuff, right? And like you have to, you're expected, I feel like I was expected to walk the path that my parents tried to walk, but didn't, right? Like the same path was laid out for them, but they didn't quite do it, right? Like they maybe didn't go to college, or, there was gaps, right? And things they didn't do. And I think that's why sometimes we're pushed even harder to fulfill the paths that the people and our parents, before us didn't. They want to push us in the direction to succeed in areas in which they didn't succeed. So that even though they didn't do it, they can say, I brought somebody into this world and put them on this earth, and they did it for me, right? And I think that's where a lot of this idea and concept of, having to fall into these paths that are laid before us, whether it's by family or society. And, it was very against the grain to want to be a pagan and want to be a witch and want to play in magic. I've shared before, I was in the 4th grade when I found my mom's secret chest at the end of the bed, and it had all her magical things hidden and locked away in there, and I fell in love instantly. And I was never able to let it go, and I did. I tried very hard to walk that path. I went to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, the whole shebang. And when I went to high school and went to college and didn't finish, but, then I found a guy, and I got married, and I got the job, and I, worked hard at the job and moved up and climbed the corporate ladder and got the house and all the stuff. And I was miserable. You know, I had moments of joy. I had moments of gratitude for, you know, the life that I had, because, you know, I think we all have our story of why we are the way we are and the bad things that happen in our lives. And we let that story dictate why we don't succeed or why we don't step out of the path and create our own, or why we have to do the things we have to do or become the people that we become, even if we don't like ourselves. It's all because of the story. But I think you're always going to find somebody whose story is worse than yours. And I think that kind of helps keep us humble. But I had to finally listen to spirit. So magic never let me go. And I started to play in my gifts. I have spiritual gifts. I hear spirit. I hear God. I hear goddess. I am a medium. I hear spirits. And, you know, I pushed that away for so long because it was wrong, right? The church says that's wrong and that's evil, and we don't do those things. But the curiosity was always in my heart, and it just never left me. And I finally just said, show me. I'm so miserable. I can't live this life anymore. I don't want to do this. And I will never forget, I was driving home from work and I was bawling my eyes out because I was just so beat down, you know, in a loveless, miserable marriage and working this job that I didn't like, and living somewhere I didn't want to be. But on the outside, it looked like I had it all, right? People thought I was blissfully happy and living the life, and I was not. And I just remembered saying, please help me. I can't do this anymore. And I finally heard again in that moment of surrender and openness, my gifts turned back on, and I heard, come see us. And so I went home and I just sat on the floor and just started crying and praying. Sorry, it still gets me. This has been years ago. And I said, I need a miracle. And God said, you are my miracle. And I think we forget that. You know, we talked in the core class before that, you know, we are these beings and we have this consciousness, and we see all this miracle of nature around us. But spirit, source, God, goddess, it doesn't matter what you call it, they see us as their greatest accomplishment, as the greatest miracle. And when I finally accepted that, you know, and I know it's easy to look at that and let it go to a place of ego. But in the state I was in, I definitely couldn't do that. I just had to accept it. And when I did, it was magic. Once I said, okay, I accept this, God said, I'm working on a miracle for you right now. And I got a text message instantly. And I wasn't done with my prayer meditation state, so I ignored it. But when I got done, I looked at the text message, and it was one of my best friends, and she said, I have to talk to you. I'll call you in a little bit. And it was right at the time that I got done with just, again, once I accepted that I was the miracle and said yes to it, and God said, I'm working on a miracle for you right now. I did. I surrendered, and I felt spirit literally pull every ounce of agony that was in my heart and soul straight out of the top of my head. And I was finally that clear channel. The emotion was gone. The hurt was gone. The all of it, the disappointment, the struggle gone. And I was just this clear channel. And I just sat in peace, like pure peace of the soul, of knowing I was like sitting in the womb of the goddess in this safe, suspended space of nothing can hurt me, nothing can touch me. And in this moment, I'm whole. And I just gave gratitude, pure gratitude for that space and that peace that I had not experienced probably ever in my life. And when I finally looked at the text message, my best friend said, she had just started a new job like a week before. And she said, I just got a promotion and I told them about you and they want to see your resume. And I was like, okay. Long story short, I ended up going to work there, and slowly everything started to change. It took several years. A lot of things happened very quickly, right? Like the job happened and promotions happened, and there was a huge increase in my abundance. I instantly got a $10,000 increase in my salary. And I was able to get a new place to live and, buy a nice house, and things started going. And they continued to move forward because I continued to just say yes to what was in my soul all along that I had been denying. I said yes to the gifts. I said yes to hearing. I said yes to playing the magic. I bought the books. I studied the books. I started my book of shadows and all of the knowledge. And I practiced, right? Like, I think that's the part sometimes we get hung up on. We want the knowledge, and we don't ever practice because we think we don't have the right tools, or we don't have enough knowledge, or we don't know what we're doing, or, we lack this spiritual confidence. We're afraid we're going to mess it up or do it wrong. And it literally is trial and error. You have to practice. You have to do the spells. You have to do the rituals. You have to spend that time with the divine. And when I just said, I'm going to walk this path, and yes, I kept it secret from everybody for a very long time. But then I finally just started to let the fear go. And let more and more people in on my secret, that I was magic and living this magical life and doing these magical things. And I just kept going with it, and everything started to change. And there were a lot of ups and downs, but I've never been able since that time. I've never been able to turn my back on the magic, on source, on spirit, on that yearning in my soul to just be me. And I now say that if you are not asking the divine for help 50 times a day at minimum, you're not doing life right. Because I realize that the divine wants to help you with everything, from the frustration and the struggle of trying to figure out something on the computer that's not working, to how am I going to pay my bills, to, how am I going to feed my kids, to I'm about to run out of gas on the side of the road. Like, it does not matter how tiny and insignificant it seems. If it's a problem to you, if it is disturbing your peace, ask for help. Just ask. And it literally is given. And it took a long time of shedding everything that was my story, everything of why I had hidden, why I had become who I had become, this person that I didn't like, living this life that was not authentic, that felt like a complete lie, even though, yeah, to everybody else, I had this perfect life. I was blessed and I was lucky and I had it all. But I was miserable. I mean, just absolutely miserable. And, now I'm finally with the right person. I was married to the wrong person for 11 years. I'm now with the right person, and I have my beautiful 3-year-old, and we just, like I said, in May, opened our shop. And now I just get to be a full-time witch. I get to play in magic every day. I get to do what makes my heart sing and my soul just be so full. And I'm happy. I am genuinely happy despite the struggles that come along, despite the daily frustrations of a 3-year-old or anything else, got to pay the bills and you got to do the dishes and the laundry, all the mundane stuff, right? I do. I ask for help from the divine. Like, I am about to pull my hair out because these dishes never stop. Please help. And something will happen. Like, he'll just randomly do the dishes, or, baby girl will be like, oh, I want to help unload the dishwasher. Or, it's incredible when you just ask what can happen, but you can't get there if you're not willing to walk your path, follow that yearning in your soul, say yes, believe, have faith, and I feel part of what I'm meant to do now with everything that I've been given and the blessings that I have in my life, yeah, there's stuff I left out. I live with stage 4 cancer, metastatic breast cancer. I have cancer in my bones right now, and I'm stable, right? And that happened because I asked, and I guard my peace. I guard my happiness. I set my boundaries. I eliminated drama. And so I still struggle. I still have problems, but I would not change anything right now. If I could go into remission, that's probably the one thing that I would change, just to not have to take medications every day. But I don't let it disturb my peace of mind. I don't let it disturb my belief in the divine. I don't let it hold me back. And that's been a 3-year struggle of getting that diagnosis and going again, because I did this 10 years ago, the first time I had cancer, of going through my story and doing the forgiveness work and, getting rid of beliefs that weren't mine, and feeling like I have to live up to others' expectations, and realizing that I was living a complete lie of a life just to hear my dad say he was proud of me. And then he did. And I was like, that wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be. I made every single decision in my life trying to impress my father or get his approval, or just to hear him say that he was proud of me. And I got that. And then I was like, that was it? Like, I don't know why I thought there was going to be these fireworks and this like great, aha moment of I'm fulfilled, I'm completed, I did it, right? Like I got it. And yeah, it didn't happen. He hung up the phone and I hung up the phone, and I'm like, I still have this life to live that I'm miserable in. I got what I wanted. I got the motivation, the thing that had been motivating me this whole time, and it meant nothing. And so we have to be willing to listen to our gut, listen to our soul, listen to our intuition, listen to the divine when the divine speaks. and shows us the signs. Just like you looking up, the topic and getting the lone wolf, Monica, like that's a sign. It's a clear sign. There are no coincidences. That was meant for you and for him and for the core class. And it's all signs. And I just feel like now my purpose is to participate in this core class and help share the magic that is available to all of us. It is not for a select few. It is not meant to be hidden. It is not meant to be guarded, in my opinion. I think this knowledge should be available to anybody who is seeking it. Mm-hmm. And I think the person that is seeking, the only requirement is that they are seeking and they are willing to do the work. It's all inside. There's no big grand thing outside. It's all internal. And you have to be willing to sit down and say, what would make me happy?
Find your soul desire, because that's the only thing that's going to make you happy is your soul's desire. Absolutely. And so you really have to step out of the conditioning that outside forces put on you to find what that soul desire is. And when you follow that, that's your path. And
Absolutely.
Speaking your truth in your path is also very important. And that's our next topic that we're going to get to. Brahm, what do you have to contribute with walking your own path?
I was a Southern Baptist too, and perhaps that's my only excuse for being so stupid. I lived a large part of my life without realizing the moon was calling to me. That the goddess in the moon has been calling to me since I was young, since I was in single-digit years. I would speak to any and every and all young would-be witches and pagans out there, and I would tell you that the goddess is calling to you and trying to draw you to the ancient wisdom. And you should listen, you should heed. Most witches are either empathic or intuitive, and we have ears to hear and eyes to see, and we have the heart that understands. I beg you to trust what you believe. I beg you to follow the path that is laying before you. Here is something I've learned in my old age, unfortunately. The world makes us before we get the chance to make the world. And when it makes us, it's our parents, like Whitney was talking about, and our preachers and our teachers. They're the ones that are telling us what we should believe and what we should do. The saddest thing in the world is that Whitney's mother apparently was drawn to the craft very much, but was always too afraid to do so openly with her family.
Yes, and that's a lot of times what holds us back from following our own path or speaking our truth is the fear of something negative happening to us in retribution of us not doing what other people's wills or things wills are. So we really have to do what's right for us and speak our truth.
Yes. I had the blessing of coming from a broken family. My parents divorced when I was 4 or 5 years old. And I lived with my sister in a separate house from the time I was 9 years old. I went to the Southern Baptist Church because I loved the music and I loved to sing in the youth choir. And that's what drew me to it. And I prayed to God all the time, give me one thing, give me wisdom. And God gave me wisdom. And when I left the church, God came with me. She said she was tired of being locked up in that damn Bible. The goddess is alive and magic is afoot. My one vision right now, the thing I do with my life, the thing to which I am dedicated, is to the moon and to the vision of the moon. And I call that vision the Essenian Mysteries, because I call the spirit of the moon Essenia. And I teach the Essenian Mysteries to help people break away from that initial acculturation and that initial grounding we have in our parents' religions, in our grandparents' religions, and in old things that are traditional and taught from generation to generation to generation, but time for us to break away from them. The Essenian Mysteries are a vision of truth and a good explanation for that truth too, so that we have sound arguments behind our assertions. But I'm very big into that. That's my chosen path. I don't do it because it's what I would choose or not. I do it because it's what my heart chooses. I have no freedom from my heart. What my heart believes, I believe. What my heart would do, I will do. It's what Don Juan called my innermost predilection. I love that term. Innermost predilection, he said. But we are our spirit. When we talk of our heart, we're talking about our spirit, the most central core of our being. Spirit is existence. It's what is basic and fundamental to us. And when we are born, we have all this crap laying over our spirit about how we should do this and how we should be that. And it makes it difficult for the spirit to reach through the heart and show us the path that we should follow, the path that we are meant to follow from our birth. And I try to teach people how to find that path and how to realize it. It's very important to me.
Thank you. Yes. When we don't find our own path. And like what happened with Whitney, you know, she gained everything. She had everything that she was supposed to do, and she was supposed to be happy, and she wasn't. So we're really hit hard with the feelings of something's not right, and despair and depression when we are held back from going with our path and speaking our truth. So it can be quite a struggle when somebody gets to that realization and is at their deepest, you know, most susceptible to the pain. And that's when the enlightenment usually comes from, when you're at that point. And so when somebody goes through that, it's very helpful to them to be of support and to help them get through their struggles in finding their new way. And with that, if we can all pray or give energy, however you like to do it, to Harold in finding his new way in his living situations that he's going through. So, and I know that he will be abundant in what he will be receiving, because he is following his truth and his path. And when people follow that and break free, you are rewarded greatly. So, but it's difficult during that transition to have the faith that you will be taken care of. So I had some conversations to remind and reminded also about the asking for the needs. So, so yes, energy for Harold to have that strength and that wisdom, and remember to ask for help and ground himself and know that he will be taken care of. Sophia, what have you got to share with us about the walking your own path and having or speaking your own truth?
Okay, so I'm not sure whether it's really, really different in the UK or certainly in England, or whether it was just my family. I'm not really certain, but I was brought up without any religion at all. And at 12, I started to read books from the library about creation stories to try and work out whether there was a higher being, a source. And very quickly discounted male gods as giving birth and discovered the goddess. And so she's been with me for a very long time. But I now want to explore the divine masculine to balance myself, and probably also the divine hermaphrodite or non-gendered also. So my mum was very green-fingered, which was a blessing because we were so poor we wouldn't have eaten otherwise. I saw spirit when I was in my teens, and realized that my mum could as well. My dad was very Victorian strict and kept me away from friends after school. I had no life after school. School was horrendous. Not just bullying. I got sexual abuse from teachers, male teachers. So when I extended my education for as long as possible, because that's what Dad wanted, I was in search of my own independence and leaving the parental home and the constraints that had on me. I was very, very naive at 21, and unfortunately, I joined a cult. The only blessing is that it was a matriarchal cult and was about 3 goddesses: the grandmother goddess, planet Saturn, the mother goddess, planet Sun, and the daughter goddess, planet Moon. And it was sort of rituals around Demeter and Persephone. And so, yeah, that's the one good bit that I took away from it. And so I escaped with the help of the police and returned to England, and basically ended up with a training and a job. And because of that, I was able to afford to move out into my own accommodation. I've only ever done 2 spells, and they're all mental. They're all in my head apart from a list. And I wrote down a list of things that I wanted and a list of things in a person that I wanted. But I didn't specify the gender of the person. So I ended up falling in love with a woman. And she was tremendously good in helping me heal. Unfortunately, she had her own health problems, and I ended up being her carer, as well as working my way through a career based bullying and misogyny at work. But I had 17 productive years that were bountiful and supposed to be great, and they weren't. You know, outwardly I looked as though I had it all. But yeah, it was a struggle. The job was outsourced to India. Lost my job, but I had done a second spell for a new partner, and again I didn't specify what gender. So I met them through a mutual friend who said, "Oh yeah, you're really Bond because you're both interested in ancient Egypt." And so they are very androgynous, have long hair, are quite feminine and soft and emotional, and so they're sort of gender fluid, is what I think I'd call them. And so I moved in with them, and yeah, we struggled to start with poverty. We've always struggled with poverty, but they are a medium. They're very spiritual. They're quite witchy because they can tell what's going on with the weather and predict the weather. They can draw money to us if we're really desperate. And we have different beliefs in the source and our spirituality, but it's not it's an accepting thing with us. And so yeah, I have a very strong partnership. And so now that I've got time to look at where my path is going, they're very supportive of me. and we go out to Pagan Federation open rituals, which is great because it's literally at the end of the road. And those are great fun. They're sort of Wiccan based, but they don't seem to have any depth to them. So I actually mentioned that to the organizer and Gardnerian High Priest, and he started up 4 evenings in the middle of woods, ancient woods. But unfortunately, we didn't learn anything in the first one at all, and it was badly organized and muddled and out of order. And this was all about casting the circle and calling in the elements. So yeah, I don't think we'll be going to the one on Monday, because I'm not learning anything. So yeah, I'm just really interested in digging down to the root of a belief and working out whether that belief is something that will gel with me, or saying no, that's not for me. So that's where I am at the moment, and seeking out the divine masculine or the divine hermaphrodite, non-gendered.
Yes, thank you, Sophia. And from the research I've done over in the UK, I read somewhere in studying the ways of Finland, where my family comes from, that it's not customary for children or for anyone to discuss. It's a no-no to discuss religion at all. It's not just like everyday chit chat over there. That's very personal, and it's an offensive thing to ask about it. Is that correct in what I read, Sophia?
Yes, it is. We're quite private in Europe, and I still class myself as European. I might be an island European, but I'm still European. Yes, we don't tend to discuss religion or politics because we see it as very personal and a cause for conflict. So yes, that's how we are. And my background, I can't get beyond my grandparents at the moment, because they all came from a huge city in the middle of England, and it's just a nightmare. But my dad's family was Welsh, and I think my mum's family are English, although we always used to joke that she had a Roman nose. So there might be some Italian in there. But my partner, his father's Swedish and his mother's Czech. So we've got quite a mix of different roots that we can look into.
Yes. And you mentioned that they all have a little bit different path that they follow in their spirituality. So, I've always had a lot of friends that we have differences. We still come together. I still go to church sometimes just to listen to the music. One of my best friend actually performs for a church service twice a week. And so, we have a discussion because the base, the core of it, of the beliefs are all the same. And he's actually, his family is indigenous from the Philippines. His grandfather lived on the island and used to come and sneak stories to him. And so he kind of grew up with learning the old ways too, even though his parents were really the Christian way. And he still likes to make his mama happy and go to the church service and perform for him. And we have a lot of great discussions about, the teachings that he heard for the week. And then I correlate that to what I believe, and we have great discussions. So getting along and respecting everyone has a different path. The core of everything's the same. We may have different stories or different names, or it's quite a little bit different variation, but without all the politics and the control, the Dharma stuff taken out, it's at the base of the core. And I think it was Dom the Bard. I just love him. Well, Darv, I guess is how you're supposed to pronounce it. But he says, that once you write down a way of that starts the dogma. So the old ways was meant to be verbal, so that way it stays fluent and ever changing with the times. So I believe there is no right or wrong way. We each have to find our own path that resides with us, and we come together to celebrate and practice and help each other in finding and living our truth in spirituality.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So I'm not sure what the typical time is on the class. Is it normally an hour? Do we have more time? Should we go into more conversation about Samhain next week? I'm not sure. I'm just jumping into this and kind of winging it because I don't know what the typical way is. Whitney?
Well, typically it's 30 minutes, but when I show up to talk, for some reason it takes an hour. So, but yeah, the last couple of times that I have given much input, we've done an hour.
Yeah.
And then another half hour or hour on Wednesday.
Yes. So okay, then we will talk again then and table the more Samhain discussion for our next meeting, if that all sounds great for you guys.
Marvelous.
Well, it was a pleasure to have this time with you again, Whitney, and I look forward to working with you regularly. And I was so privileged for meeting you all, and I am very happy to be on this journey with you in learning. And thank you for joining. And please keep Harold in your prayers and send him energy, whatever you feel is appropriate to help him with this new ways that he is learning now.
I hope he'll find a place to live that's convenient to where he wants to be working at in Kentucky.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything else they want to share, or any requests, or?
I would advertise that I will be giving a class in the Essenian Mysteries on Monday night at 7 p.m. Central on Zoom, and I do advertise it here and there, but don't ever get much of a showing.
Can you
But I
put
hope
the information or the link into the group chat maybe, or into the core group?
I beg your pardon?
Can you put the link information to find what you're teaching into the Facebook group or into the group chat?
Yeah, I could do that. I'd gladly do that.
Yeah, I'd love to check it out.
Yeah.
So you know where to go.
All right. I'll consider it done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Blessed be, and I will see you all on Wednesday.
Blessed be.
Blessed be. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.